Doesn't it seem to be the case that the work of all these analysts on Wall Street in putting together price targets for companies is entirely siloed from the work of the many quantitative analysts on Wall Street that put together quantitative price probability distributions for companies? Honestly, I've been in the market since 1997 and I've never seen the work product of the two groups presented in conjunction with each other. It makes one wonder if there's any insights to be gleaned about forward price performance by doing so. Hi, I'm Roger Coyne, founder of an investment analytics startup called VecViz that aims to bridge the core insights of both disciplines, quant and fundamental, making them more accessible for a broad swath of investors. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I did such an analysis for Apple by using the VecViz app in the OpenBB workspace. But before we do that, before we walk through the analysis, let's just confirm that this isn't a common sort of analysis. So what I did was I went to Google Gemini 2.5 and did a deep research into this prompt, which asked Gemini to look for academic and industry research that discusses analysts' price targets in the context of quantitative price probability models such as Heston or Sigma, Black-Scholes, or rough volatility. And I ran the prompts and Gemini went to work and it came up with this big list of sources. Okay, there's a lot of stuff from academia in here. It came up with a nice report. I'm going to put a link to the report on my blog at VecViz in the comments. But it basically says that a direct systematic academic study that formally compares the distribution of analyst targets to the probability distribution from advanced models like rough volatility is a critical area for future research. So let's go into the OpenBB workspace, for which there is a VecViz app. And here we have the price probability distributions going back to January 2023 for Apple, looking 3 months forward. And we have them for two models. In blue, we have VecViz's vector model, which is trained on scored support and resistance and powered by machine learning. And in red we have bell curve based sigma, which is calculated with a 2-year trailing window and a half-life of 6 months for exponential time decay. And now let's look at how these two distributions compare. As expected, sigma with its 2-year trailing window moves kind of smoothly over time. Of course, it's very symmetric. You can imagine Apple's closing stock price going right through the middle of that valley. And the distance between its 95th percentile in pink and the 99th percentile in darker red is pretty consistent, very consistent in fact, both on the upside and the downside over time. The vector model in blue, in contrast, is stochastic or random in its movements. It's jumpy. It's asymmetric to the upside and downside. It's asymmetric between the 95th and 99th percentiles on the upside and the downside. So it's much more volatile, as volatility itself is. So we have these probability models going back to January 2023. And we imported from OpenBB their price target widget, which goes back to early 2022 and has price targets from a number of firms over time with the date that they were published and the price target level. And I'm not sure these are all of Apple's price targets or not, but there's many of them here. And so what we did was we made both this price target price target widget and our price probability widget as context for the OpenBB Copilot. And we asked the OpenBB Copilot to create 4 line charts, each depicting the percentage of these price targets that are above the upside price probability levels in this chart. And it did it no problem. Generated these charts and we made them into widgets, and let's just scroll down to take a closer look. Close that up. So we have these 4 widgets here. This one looks at the percentage of price targets above VecViz vector model 95U. This one's the percentage above vector model 99U. This is the percentage above sigma 95U, and this one's the percentage above sigma 99U. And you can see that generally speaking, the sigma sees higher frequency of its price target level being exceeded both at the 95th percentile and 99th percentile than the vector model. The vector model, particularly at the 99th percentile level, has a large amount of time no price targets exceed it, and the peak amount that it do exceed it is, I believe, 50%. Here it gets up to 100%. So the next issue is, how do these frequencies of exceeding the price probability level, how do they compare to forward price performance? And so what we did was we imported OpenBB's historic stock price widget, and we set it to Apple, and we made sure it covered the dates we have in these charts, and we made it as part of the context along with these widgets for the Copilot, and we asked the Copilot to help us evaluate the relationship between forward 1-month price performance and the values in these charts, and to create 4 scatter charts to do so. And it did. We can't export those as widgets, but we can look at them here. So this widget looks at the forward price return versus the percentage of price targets above the vector model 95th percentile to the upside, and you see that the 0 level you have your lowest value for forward return, and the forward return kind of arcs upward and then goes back downward. So there's a bit of a hump to the upside in the middle. So its best performance is perhaps when there's a moderate amount of analyst estimates above the vector model 95th percentile level. For the vector model 99th percentile level, that's what we look at in this chart. It's a little more of a square root type of shape that's flatter on the tail. You have, again, the lowest values where no analysts exceed the vector model's 99th percentile to the upside. Once you get past about, 7 or 8%, you have very few negative returns. It's a small sample. Maybe there's 40 points here, 30 points out of the 300 or so that we have values for, but it's definitely consistent. Here we have the sigma 95th percentile to the upside. Far fewer values at the 0 level for price targets above the 95th sigma percentile. And we see the worst performance where about 12% of analysts are above the sigma 95th percentile level. And but overall, it's maybe slightly positively sloped, but it's broader. There really isn't a cluster of consistently good performance. And here we have the percentage of price targets above the sigma 99th percentile, and it's kind of a similar dynamic as the sigma 95th percentile. So what we did was we asked to compare them. We asked for correlations between the X and Y values for each of these charts. We asked the Copilot for that, and we didn't have to tag them for context. The Copilot is aware of them, which is great. It gave us a 5% correlation for the VecViz 95U, 19% for the 99U, 9% for the Sigma 95U, and 18% for the Sigma 99U. When we adjusted these vector model values to take the there's square root of the percentage that was in excess of them. The correlations went to 9% for 95U and above 22% for 99U. So definitely interesting. Not conclusive. There's definitely more to do. Is how do we know that 3 months forward is the right level of probability estimate to use? Is that really the best way to look at it? There we go. How do we know that 3 months forward is the right time horizon to look at? Maybe we should look at 1 day forward or 10-day forward or 21. How does it perform for other tickers? That's obviously a big issue. Maybe it just works for Apple. It won't work for other tickers. Maybe it works better for other tickers. These are all questions for another day. Hey, we've probably gone where no one's gone before here. So, that's enough for now. But hope you enjoyed it. Again, thank you to OpenBB for helping to make this type of analysis possible. And there's links to VecViz and OpenBB in the comment section below in case you're interested in learning more. Thanks. Bye.